In life, certain people are fortunate enough, lucky enough, or just through hard work can afford a premium brand vehicle like this Audi behind me. If you're one of those people shopping for this, well, follow along. If you're an automotive enthusiast, let me just say, too many people get hung up on the sports car versions of the Audis, like the S series, or if you're a Mercedes person, AMG, or a BMW M series. The thing is, not everybody needs that, and they certainly don't want it in many cases. This is not the high-performance sports car, but it offers so many positive things that we're going to talk about here that it may just be worth your while taking this over the higher-end versions of it. Let's get right down to the styling, because whenever you see a coupe, if it's done right, or a coupe, they immediately just look so striking. And it's because of the long character lines, the way that a car can flow if it's done right. From the side, some people will say this is kind of a more sedate or boring looking coupe, and I think it looks just amazing because it's understated. It's not trying too hard, and the complete character lines of this make total sense. It's a car that you look back on and you think, that's just handsome looking. Now the problem here is this front end, and it's really not Audi's fault at all. It's just the fact that they had a successful formula that everybody has copied tenfold. In fact, if you cover up the four rings here, you don't know if it's a Hyundai Genesis, a Hyundai, a Mazda, a Ford Fusion with the hood. It's just everybody's doing the same thing. And the problem with that is, well, Audi hasn't evolved their design enough to make this stand out from the people that have copycatted them, and I know that's a difficult pill to swallow. Now, of course, you probably don't care about that, so let's move on. The front bumper has some aero that moves air from the side of the bumper around the wheel well to move air around the front wheels for aerodynamics, less drag, all that type of stuff. Mostly the front part of this car is covered up underneath, what we'll deal with that in the shop. Overall, this is a very clean looking design. Now, I've had people come straight up to me and said how sleek and attractive looking this car is. And then others would say, it is so boring, it puts them to sleep. And I think half of it has to do with this color. It's about as common as a McDonald's in a suburban area. It's so played out. But I said this about the Q7. This car is a business suit. It looks like a well-tailored machine. And the thing with Audi is, namely with Audi, is you look at the fit and finish of this car, the body gaps, the panel gaps are so tight. The fit and finish is just something that you don't find on a lot of cars. I always make fun of Ford for this. Every car, it looks like the factory workers came in, they didn't do any QA, one car to the other could be totally different, just a mess, or one might be perfect, but it's rare. You get to this, and it is just so nice to look at something so well put together. Now, I told Scott that Barry left his Old Spice cologne in here, and he went tearing through the trunk. And when he started going in here, I told him flat out, this is one of the biggest trunk spaces in the segment. And you look at it, it's got good depth, you feel like you could fit a lot of stuff in there, but I can't fit my slider in here. I can't fit a lot of stuff in here that I could in, like I say, a basic compact car, which is super annoying. There are trade-offs of this trunk space, and I know this isn't supposed to be some big machine, but it's something to note about it. There is a lot of thought, however, to cubbies, like spaces with the little cargo nets where you can put little nooks and crannies, but if you're going to use this for a hauling machine, you might want to check it out first. So let's move on to something a little bit more exciting. Let's head to the shop with Turbowski to take a look at the underbody. So Scott has flown in with his helicopter today.
Yeah, no kidding. I came out to the freaking boonies.
Yeah.
Could have been sitting on my couch.
How was your trip out here?
Way too long.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're in Shoppe too. When it's bought for budgetary reasons, real estate's cheaper. But we're not talking about cheap. We're talking about premium vehicles today.
Where?
It's right above you.
Is it behind the door?
No, it's right here. The Audi A5, Scott. But you know, you look at this, and this is where we discuss this, after you hit a certain price range, you start to find this. You have 3 ball joints on the lower hub, all aluminum. The hub, the knuckle, the upright, the lower control arms, both lower control arms, the wishbone at the top or the upper A-arm. You have 2 ball joints in the upper A-arm or the upper upright. I mean, you don't see this on your budget cars, and a lot of this helps with performance and the ride quality, because this car does not have variable or adjustable dampers either.
Oh, I'm done.
I'm sorry.
I don't do anything that doesn't have variable everything.
Yeah, I know. You want electronic everything, right? This has your standard monotube coilover Sachs damper, and the ride quality is really good. I mean, I think to myself, would I like it firmer? Would I like it softer? No, it just kind of works. And of course, you reduce the complexity, which I know you know all about that, how fun that is.
Why? Who wants to do that?
I'm sure if you had the adjustable dampers on here, it would raise the cost of each shock by like $500. So
I want an electronically adjustable spring purchase too, that wind up. And
oh yeah, I'm sure that would be a real good design.
Almost looks like the Adidas sign.
I know, it probably is an Adidas transmission, or sponsored by Adidas. Isn't that the hot thing now? Yeah.
Differential, not transmission.
Oh.
This isn't a Corvette, the transmission's not in the back.
Oh, I thought that's what we were looking at. Okay, the second thing to talk about, which is more in the front of the car, is this has a 7-speed automatic transmission. Now, this automatic transmission has something called a dual clutch. And it is one of this car's absolute best features.
You love it.
It is amazing, except, of course, they had to ruin it by not allowing it to hold revs at the higher RPM. It auto upshifts for you. But other than that,
we can flash that out of there.
the back half is a lot like the front. You said it even has aluminum sway bar end links.
Mm-hmm. Look, it has little aluminum sway bar bushing holders.
Yeah.
Oof.
Man.
That's some serious stuff right there.
I know.
All these triple square drive fasteners.
Oh, hey, but that's a premium fastener for premium tools. That means I can't just go to Farm and Fleet and work on this, which is exactly what they don't want anyway. Yeah, I mean, you have the only thing back here that is standard is you have a stamped steel subframe carrier, but everything else is pretty much aluminum, as much as they possibly could have done back here. They do cover the rear lower control arms with plastic for aerodynamics. There's a lot of little things here they do for aero. This is an extremely quiet car, unbelievably quiet. And I know that, you talk about luxury cars, they're supposed to be quiet.
That's because it has carpeted fender liners.
Well, yeah, you're right. It does. It has all the carpet in here. And, I got out of the car like the RC200T, the turbo RC, and we kind of talked about it. And it's like, what's the point? Why not just get the V6? And you look at this, and this is so much better for a 4-cylinder. I mean, it really does give you almost zero trade-offs of having a 4-cylinder and all-wheel drive. It's really impressive for what it is. So let's take a look at under the hood real quick before I start talking about this sway bar that's made in the Czech Republic. How does it feel to be under the hood of a performance engine?
I don't call it a performance engine.
Why?
It's a 4-cylinder.
It's not a 4-cylinder. It's a turbocharged fuel cell injection.
The S is for cell. Is that German?
Yeah, the C and the S are switched in Germany. It's a non-issue. This is a turbocharged direct injected motor. And we talk about all these 4-cylinder piles that have gone turbo because of efficiency. Everybody's getting rid of a V6. I just got out of 3 cars that had turbocharged 4-cylinders. A Subaru, a Honda Civic, and the QX30. And all of those had problems. Every single one had some type of tuning problem, weird lag, all this crap. And you get in here and you understand where all their money has gone in engine development.
So the Japanese aren't the smartest then?
Well, you have to talk to Tom directly about that. I'm not going to bring that into this. They have this, I don't know how much more you could perfect this. This is almost a direct V6 replacement, if not better. And we talked about this under the hood. The Q60, the Red Sport V6, and the BMW V6 competitor, this is almost exactly as fast as those cars in a straight line. And half of it is the transmission, half of it is the engine tuning. It just feels amazing. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you did that.
There's your high performance race engine, whatever you call it, right there.
I mean, if you took this out, I mean, the amount of access to the turbo and all the associated plumbing to it, it looks pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of clearance for all of it.
As long as you don't have to put the front end in the service position. They just need to lower the engine and tuck it under the dashboard.
Oh, that's the best.
That's like the Dodge Durango.
You like the
with
Dodge
the 5.7 Hemi.
Ooh.
God, that things are, those older ones, or when they first started doing those things, are a nightmare to work on the back of the engine on.
We just put the Audi A5 on the wheel scales, Scott. And we have a curb weight of 3,678 pounds. The cross weight appears to be pretty good, 51%. So, you know, it's a really good cross weight. Your front to rear ratio is, looks like 55% to 44% biased towards the front. Now, this is a pretty well-balanced car. Not the best we've seen, but it's still pretty good for a production car. There are a few really positive things to talk about right off the bat with this car. I'm going to get right into them. First thing is this transmission. It's amazing. Until you realize even in manual mode, it auto upshifts for you, which is the only downer, because this thing downshifts so remarkably fast. It's great. Even the upshifting, I mean, there is literally zero G-shock. When you pull a lower gear, I'm going to downshift in a second here, you feel nothing in terms of downshifting. Now, even when a turkey comes to right in front of you and starts gobbling, get off the road, turkey. Jesus, they're everywhere. When you need to hit the brakes on this car, if you're not downshifting, the brakes are so strong. For a street car, it almost shocks you. The fact that you can tell once you get into the pedal, it's like, I think they have this brake system set up where it kind of preloads or pre-charges the brakes with pressure, because there's times where I want to get really kind of like just really smooth onto the brakes, and it picks up the fact that you're probably going to brake harder, and it just slams on them. And I think it's going to give people this jarring sense of confidence, but the negative part about that is it's just, a lot of times I find it to be too much. It's not progressive enough so where I can just lean on the brakes and have it consistent braking force. It's always like kind of on and then massively stopping you. And I think, you know, for most people, they're going to like it. For me, I just don't. Acceleration. The best part about this 2-liter, and I said this in the shop, this is how you tune a turbo 4-cylinder. It feels legitimately like a V6. There's no vibration, there's no weirdness that you get with 4 cylinders, there's no drop in power output or torque output as you rev this thing out to the rev line. It always has power like a naturally aspirated motor, and for the most part, the throttle response is amazing too. I've been in so many 2-liter turbos now, or turbo 4 cylinders, that have all these quirky tuning problems with them where it's cutting power, cutting timing, it has too much lag at the low end, and then it dies off in power at the upper end. This car has none of it. And between the transmission and the engine on this car, it's really one of the best turbo 4 cylinders I've ever been in terms of drivetrain. Now, I've said a lot of really nice things about this car, so onto it's a positive and negative. I think because this doesn't have adaptive dampers on it, these Sachs dampers are just your straight up, you know, traditional monotube shocks, and they do an excellent job over pretty much every condition. But once you get on the rough stuff like this, it does feel like it's more on the sporty side in terms of spring rates and damping rates. It feels really kind of firm, but it also gives you a lot of that sportiness without feeling roly-poly all over the road. So if you're somebody that wants a kind of a really soft, supple ride, this may not be the car for you. But I think if you're somebody who wants a more sporting experience, it's really well set up. Now, I would absolutely have to have a manual transmission in this car, even though the dual clutch is really good. And I say that and I think, man, this transmission's so good that there's almost no penalties to having the dual clutch. So, you know, this would be the kind of ultimate comfortable daily driver, sporty car. It still gets decent fuel efficiency. I can get 26 miles to the gallon just kind of driving it pretty hard. It handles really well. You have all-wheel drive, which means you can drive it in the winter. You have double wishbone suspension. You have a lot of the things that make this kind of sporty, but, you know, still comfortable. I just don't have enough good things to say about it, and it's rare. And I think a lot of that is because I've been so surprised by this car overall. You know, the other part of it is I get out of the equal Mercedes and BMWs, like a 3 or a 4 Series, and this just feels so much more modern, and it just feels more special than those cars do. It just doesn't feel as generic. And I think that's part of the reason why I like driving it. There's this sense of simplicity and exterior style. It doesn't scream, you know, I'm douchey. It has this sense of like class to it. And you get on the inside and it's not ultra boring. It's not this mundane cookie cutter cardboard interior. They do so many things right in here that I feel like every time I get into it, I just really like being behind the wheel. I like being in the interior space. And because it's not a 4-door, it doesn't feel like it's trying to be a family car either. Now the handling department, this is kind of a front wheel drive platform first with all-wheel drive. And for the most part, it's really good. I mean, I think for who this is designed for, you're going to be blown away at its level of performance. This is not a sports car, okay? Let me just say that. This is not like an S car. It's the S line, so it's got some of the sporty intentions. It's not like an M car or the F cars from Lexus or the AMG. This is kind of the everyday mainstream car that you're going to drive every day without being so ridiculously set up for the track. This is not like trying to be a track car. It's supposed to be a street car first that you can have a little bit of fun with, that the priority is comfort, low noise levels, less complication from those cars, and it's one of the better parts and really the best part about the driving experience of the A5. When you get inside the A5, it's a lot, I mean, really, it's pretty much identical to the A4, except you have 2 doors. When you add the S-Line package here, which is just a lot of fluff, like these illuminated door sills, it adds a level of, well, it's hard sit up, yes, but it makes it feel like a more special space. And I think when you're dealing with a car in this price range, you know, a couple $1,000s to do that is not a big deal. And it elevates the feel of it so much. This aluminum trim or metal trim, just all the little accents in here, it doesn't feel generic to me. And I think that's why I like it so much. The other thing is cars have gotten really boring. I mean, really, they're all the same. So you constantly have to add these gimmicks and technology and all that crap to spice up cars. This does it without totally feeling like they're trying too hard. Yes, there are some gimmicky things in here, like this Tegra-based or NVIDIA Tegra-based gauge cluster system that is, I can't imagine how much this is going to cost to replace when it goes bad. Now, aside from the graphical user interface, Audi has really kind of mastered the whole concept of HMI, MMI, HCI, whatever you want to call it, connecting the human with the physical element of the car. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the monkey see, monkey do thing that Scott always talks about, sticking this damn screen up here. You know there's got to be a better way to do it. But when you get down to the nuts and bolts, things like this HVAC control system in here is amazing. one of the best setups of any car ever made. You take physical, you combine a really, really great display with superb black levels showing the temperature in the physical controls. The controls are physical and touch sensitive. It is just so good on here. Super impressed with it. And most of the physical controls in here are amazing. Now there are some confounding elements about this car, namely for its price tag at $55,000. Where are the cooled seats? Where is the heated steering wheel? These are features you're starting to see on compact cars that are just almost standard features nowadays. I think for me, I could care less. I don't want any of it. But the people that are buying this in the price range almost expect it now. And there's like little oversights like that all along this car. All right, let's go on to the last few negatives about this. The interior ambient lighting looks amazing at night. It really does. And you can adjust the brightness of it, but you can't change the color. Makes no sense why. It would really round out this interior if you can mess with that. The second thing is if you opt for this multimedia display gauge cluster, it is so bright at night. Yes, you can dim it down, but it's like the equivalent of somebody turning on a tablet right in front of your face while you're driving. You can dim everything else out, but you have this massive bright display in front of you, and it's so frustrating, given that they have a one-touch button to turn off the center screen, which is a really good thing, but then you mess with this, and it's just, it sucks. So the last negative thing to cover here is the fact that you have kind of online access. This car is connected. You have Google integration with Maps, and then when I hit the voice button and I want to say something extremely common that's like on an Android phone, get directions to, oh, that doesn't work here. It takes forever and it never understands what I'm saying. You would think that that integration should be much tighter. It should be just as good as a smartphone. So that's one annoying thing that I've noticed here about technology. But the last two things are extremely positive. The HVAC vent work, the way that this car deals with cooling, heating, even temperatures is really, really good. And the overall fit and finish and design of this interior, it's so well put together that it's really a great place to be. And it's something you definitely want to check out. The final thoughts on the Audi A5 with all the S-line fluff. When I found out I was getting this car, I did next to no research. I didn't want to know anything about it. None of the technical details, specifications, nothing. And I think that's partly why I've enjoyed driving it so much without having to geek out on everything. This car is in the 90th percentile. Here's why. Without going into the high performance models, you don't have to deal with things like electronic dampers, airbags, a high-strung motor that's going to be impossible to fix on your own or with no space to get at under the hood. This 4-cylinder's performance is more than adequate for the street. The dual clutch transmission is at the top of its class. Now, granted, it gets a huge ding for not allowing you to manually control it completely. It auto upshifts, which is so friggin' annoying. The interior space feels way more special than a BMW. It doesn't feel super generic. It feels ultra modern, sleek, and that carries over inside and outside. And I say this so many times, it's cohesion. The inside matches the outside, matches the driving capabilities. And there's that. You don't get penalized here. It's not a sports car, but it sure handles at a high level for a street car. Last but not least, it is super isolated. The sound system's good. It's super quiet, super refined. Yes, the ride is a little bit firmer. It's more on the sporty side than on the super comfortable side, so that might be a negative. The second thing is if you're somebody that wants a really visceral experience, it's still a 4-popper. It doesn't make a lot of noise, even with the fake engine noise, which is really non-offensive. And there is no steering feel. There's really no feel to the car at all, and that's the point of this. It's a cruiser, and if you can accept that, this is definitely one of the cooler, like, smaller, fun coupe cars out there that's not totally ridiculously expensive, but gives you a lot of luxury, practicality, and fun for this price.